It was midnight, and the raindrops were pounding the window. Inside a house, a man said coldly, "Sign the divorce papers. As compensation, I will give you $100 million in alimony." "Did I do something wrong again, Bruce?" asked Joanna Haynes timidly. She had always been a humble servant in front of him. "Roxy's back, and she doesn't want to see you. It's time for our marriage to end. So you have to go," Bruce Everett said, crossing his long legs and leaning back on the couch. He was as handsome as a classical Greek sculpture, but the look on his face was as cool as ever. Joanna's pale lips quivered as if she had fallen into the icy water. She asked with shock, "You are divorcing me because she's back? Is our marriage nothing but a joke to you? You were not the one I wanted to marry in the first place, and you drove Roxy away 2 years ago with your dirty tricks. Now that she's back, I won't make the same mistake. Hurry up and sign the papers. $100 million for 2 years of your pathetic life. You should consider it a bargain." Bruce had always been good at hurting her with words. What will happen if I don't sign them?" Joanna asked bitterly. "Suit yourself. I have ways of making you disappear. Legally or not, no one will notice." As heir to the richest family in the Greeport city, Bruce had always been capable of doing whatever he liked. Who would dare to stand up to him anyway? 2 years ago, Joanna's family decided to get connected with the Everetts by marriage. However, at the engagement banquet of Bruce and Roxanne, Joanna's stepsister, the man was drugged. Later in the lounge, Bruce mistook Joanna for Roxanne, and they slept with each other. The next day, the scandal of the Haynes group's eldest daughter hooking up with her brother-in-law was all over the newspaper. Roxanne Haynes' mental state broke, and she was sent to a nursing home abroad for treatment. Everyone took Joanna as the most shameless homewrecker, pointing fingers at her for sleeping with her brother-in-law. Ads by Pub Future. Bruce hated her even more and decided that Joanna was the one who drugged him and climbed onto his bed. Yet, the Everett family and the Haynes family shared a friendship for generations. Moreover, this marriage was meant to deepen the connection. Hence, the elders of both families, Raymond Haynes and Margaret Everett, insisted on Bruce and Joanna getting married. The past 2 years of marriage had been a living hell for Joanna. Her tolerance and affection did not make it any better. In return, she got more humiliation and torture. Joanna was exhausted, both mentally and physically. So what if Bruce wanted a divorce? She'd had enough anyway. 574-1424. Chapter 1. "Fine, I'll sign them, but I have a request." "Speed it out then." Bruce believed that Joanna was thinking about more money. After all, that was what she, a scheming woman, could only care about. "I want you to sleep with me as a real lover does for once. For the past 2 years, every time you've been with me, you've called out Roxanne's name. Yeah, you've made me feel like I'm the worst woman in the world, and I've had enough. I'm your wife, and I want you to call out my name while sleeping with me for the last time. I am Joanna, not Roxanne." For the first time, Joanna was screaming hysterically and trembling with anger. Each time in the past 2 years, Bruce would deliberately call out the wrong name. He had sex with her simply to punish and humiliate her. There was no love in it at all. "Oh, stop the nonsense. There's someone waiting for me downstairs." Joanna snorted with self-mocking laughter. Then it probably was Roxanne who was waiting for him downstairs. "She can wait a little longer. She's been waiting for 2 years, and I think she can be patient enough for another few minutes. Do what I said or not. Suit yourself. I don't mind the media writing stories about me again." Bruce hated being threatened the most. His thin lips curled into a sneer. A few seconds later, he replied, "Fine, I'll do it. But don't you regret it, Joanna." Bruce jerked to stand up, seized her by the blouse, and pulled her over violently. And then, her stockings were ripped apart. The man did not even give her a warning before hurting her. "Ah!" Joanna cried, shutting her eyes in pain. Bruce was as ruthless as ever, almost cruel. He never cared if it hurt her or not. Or maybe watching her suffer simply pleased him. Good, very good. She would remember this, remembering the man's cruelty to her for the rest of her life. "Joanne. Oh, Joanne. Are you happy now?" He finally called her name as he was on top of her. Though it was quite a humiliation, she could finally get rid of the depression that haunted her for 2 whole years. Joanna felt tears streaming down her cheeks as she said in a heartbroken tone, "Bruce Everett, I won't love you anymore." Bruce had heard what she said but chose to ignore it. He caught her jaw contemptuously, looked down at her face, and sneered. She was beautiful. This woman had such a pretty and innocent face, but her mind was filled with filth and schemes. That was why her so-called love for him would only make him sick. Sign the divorce papers, take the money, and leave Greyport forever. Having said that, Bruce left without looking back, leaving her lying on the floor in a mess. 2 months later, in a hospital. "Congratulations, Ms. Haynes, you are pregnant with more than one. But I suggest you give up 1 or 2 of the fetuses, or there will be too many at risk." Giving up? No. She would not take away the right to life from any of her children. It was her baby and hers alone. One way or another, she was gonna give birth to them and raise them right. 4 years later, in the intensive care unit of a hospital. "I'm sorry, we tried everything we could, but Raymond isn't getting any better. You should go inside and bid farewell to him." Sean Haynes frowned worriedly and said, "Doc, will you please try something else? If my father can't make it, all the properties of the Haynes family will be bequeathed to the government." Oh, what to do? None of us have even seen Joanna over 3 years. Damn it, and my father, too. We don't know what he was thinking. How could he ignore his grandsons who keep him accompanied every day while only caring for that wretched daughter of mine? Everyone in the Haynes family was miserable these days. Raymond, Sean's father, drafted an odd will on his deathbed. He left 51% of the Haynes group to his eldest granddaughter, Joanna. As for the other members of the Haynes family, they would inherit only 10%. In other words, Joanna would become the largest shareholder of the Haynes group. Yet, according to the additional condition to the will, if Joanna did not show up before Raymond's death, all the properties of the Haynes family would go straight to the government. So, the Haynes family had been looking for Joanna desperately for these days. However, it was like Joanna had disappeared from the world. No one ever heard from her and saw her even once since she and Bruce got divorced. The way I see it, that girl is simply going against us on purpose. No one knows where the hell she has been for all those years. Sean's second wife, Ingrid Haynes, was cursing furiously, and her face twisted a little. Back then, she, with the twins in her belly, kicked Joanna and Joanna's mother out of the family. Then Ingrid gave birth to her third son, thinking that her position in the family was absolutely secured. She had never expected that she would have nothing in the end. Of all 3 children of hers, the old man still favored that Joanna girl. "Dad, Mom, Grandpa's awake. Joanne, my Joanna." Raymond had been in a coma for more than a dozen days. His hours were numbered, and before his death, his only concern was for his eldest granddaughter, Joanna. Joanna had been missing for 4 years, and that worried Raymond so much. He even suspected that Ingrid might have ads by Pub Future somehow murdered his beloved granddaughter. "Dad, Aunt Rick, Ryan and Roxy, all your grandchildren. Your will is not fair. You basically leave nothing to them. They might as well just go out on the street and beg for a living if you insist on donating everything to the government." Chapter 2. Joanne. "Let me see Joanne. You won't get a penny before that." Ingrid shouted in a low voice. "It's been 4 years, Raymond. Who knows where she's gone? Plus, if she really cares for you, how can she not show up to see you for the last time?" A hint of impatience crossed Roxanne's eyes, and she couldn't help but ask, "Bruce, do you know where my sister has been?" Bruce froze because he did not know the answer to this question. 4 years ago, after their divorce, Bruce thought Joanna was going to keep harassing him or at least make a scene. Unexpectedly, the next day, Joanna moved out. She took nothing with her but her IDs, not even the bank card that had $100 million in it. And in these 4 years, there had been no news of her at all. Of course, as proud as Bruce was, he never contacted her either. It had been 4 years. Still, Bruce didn't believe she would let go so easily. He had prepared so many plans to get rid of her as long as she showed up. Yet it turned out that he didn't need any of them. She just disappeared from his world completely. Joanne. Oh, come on, Grandpa's dying. Go get the doctors. The ECG monitor told everyone that Raymond's heartbeat was stopping. In tears, his family members all gathered around the bed. They were crying, not for Raymond's approaching death, but for the properties that were about to be donated. Tap, tap, tap. From the hospital corridor came the sound of high heels. Creak. The door of the ward was pushed open. The one who came in was wearing a custom-made white suit. A limited edition bag was in her hands, and the oversized sunglasses covered most of her face. Her slender legs were long enough, but the high-heeled shoes brought them out even more. She walked in with the ice-cold beauty sort of vibe, seeming to cause the temperature in the ward to drop a few. Who is this woman? Did we know her? Who allowed her to be here? It's me. I'm here to see my grandpa. Joanna took off her sunglasses slowly and walked towards the bed. Joanna. The others all gasped. She had changed so much. Her long dark hair that she used to keep straight had become curly brown. It used to reach her waist, but now. Chapter 2. The end of it was dancing around her shoulder. She had changed completely from the next-door sweet girl to a mature, sexy career lady. What was even more remarkable was that Joanna appeared to be much fitter than before. Meanwhile, the innocence in that pair of eyes had also been emptied. By simply looking into her eyes, one could tell that she must have experienced a lot in the past years. Joanna. Oh, finally, Joanna. The Haynes family will be ruined if you don't show up. For the first time ever, all the members of the Haynes family were so glad to see Joanna. I'm sorry, Grandpa. I'm sorry I'm late. Joanne. Raymond called out and hardly opened his eyes. I'm glad that you are safe and alive. Oh, I can finally be relieved. With that, Raymond reached out, but the next second, his hand fell back on the bed weakly, his head tilted, and his eyes shut. Beep. The ECG was beeping, declaring Raymond's death. Grandpa. Joanna called out, tears rolling down her cheeks. She knew that her grandpa was the only Haynes that ever cared about her. Ah, come on, stop those fake tears. You would have been here long ago if you ever cared about Grandpa. Now that it's time to talk about inheritance, here came, said Sean's eldest son, Derek. The sarcasm in his tone was obvious. He had never taken Joanna as his elder sister, and now that she was the biggest beneficiary of Raymond's legacy, Derek hated Joanna even more. Enough of that. Call someone and get the funeral arranged first, said Sean, reasonably grieving as he patted Joanna on the shoulder. Joanne, now that you're back, move back home. Ingrid's lips curled in disdain, but she was saying merrily, that's right, come and live with us. Also, your grandfather made a will. On his deathbed, he wants you to inherit 51% of the Haynes group. The illness must have confused his brain. How could he leave such a large enterprise to a girl who knows nothing about it? Joanne, you're still young and dumb. Just let your father continue to run the business. Ingrid said it as if Joanna was meant to follow her instructions. Deep down, Ingrid was convinced that Joanna was just as stupid as her mother. By the time Joanna moved back to their house, she would be in Ingrid's full control. Joanna was expressionless. She said coldly, I don't want to think about that right now. I just want to take care of Grandpa first. Yeah, you're right on this. Raymond's funeral is the most important thing now. Everything else can be postponed. It was late afternoon after the mortuary house picked up Raymond's body. Joanna walked out of the hospital with the others. Where do you live? My driver will give you a ride, Bruce said. His voice was kind of hoarse because Joanna had not spoken to him once before this. Joanna smiled politely and shook the car keys in her hand. Thanks, but I drove here. The indifferent look on her face made it look like she was simply being polite to a total stranger. Yet Roxanne took it that Bruce was hitting on Joanna. Her face fell, and quickly, she held Bruce's arm affectionately, saying, Joanne, why don't you move back in with us? At least, you don't have to be alone, and it's easier for me to stay in a hotel. Bye. Joanna waved politely and headed for the underground parking. Soon, a silver Bentley pulled out of the parking lot, and it roared off while in front of the crowd. It seems that my sister has been living a good life these years. She could enjoy such a rich life without any help from the family. Bruce did not reply. During the 4 years when Joanna had been gone, for various reasons, Bruce did not marry Roxanne. Moreover, with these 4 years, he realized that Roxanne was simply not the one for him. The only reason that he did not break up with Roxanne was because of his family. The Haynes family was a wealthy one, but it was nothing compared with the Everetts. However, the elders of both families were close friends. That was why the Everett family had always been taking care of the Haynes family. Except for that, there was another crucial reason. 10 years ago, Bruce nearly drowned while he swam, and it was Roxanne who saved him. Ever since then, he swore that he would love and protect this girl for the rest of his life. Joanne has always been striving since she was just a kid. She is smart and good with men, too. See her fancy clothes and car. She must have hooked up with some wealthy fellow again. Unlike her, Roxy, you are always stupid and innocent, and people all try to take advantage of you. Ingrid seemed to be praising Joanna, but it was not hard to recognize what she was implying. Mom, what are you talking about? Oh, I just want you to learn from Joanne. Do you see how good she's been doing? Girls like her are never for us to be worried about wherever she goes. There aren't many girls as smart as her anymore. Ads by Pub Future. Bruce somehow was a little upset. Ingrid, Roxy, I must go now. I have an important meeting tonight. Yeah, sure. Drive safe, alright, said Ingrid with a flattering smile, afraid of offending her daughter's promising husband-to-be. Bruce said nothing more, turned around, and got into a car. Having watched Bruce's car disappear, Roxanne stamped her foot in anger. She complained, "It's all your fault, Mom. You should never have put that bitch Joanna in Bruce's bed 6 years ago. Bruce never mentions marrying me again. And now that Joanna's back, what are we gonna do?" 14 to 35. Chapter 3. Ingrid gritted her teeth grumpily. What her daughter complained about was what Ingrid regretted the most. She had it all well designed 6 years ago. First, she had Joanna drugged. Then she sent the girl straight to Bruce's room, convinced that Bruce was too drunk to do anything. After that, Ingrid informed a group of paparazzi, suggesting they write a drama about how Joanna threw herself in her brother-in-law's arms. Ingrid did so because she was expecting that once Joanna had brought dishonor to the family, the girl would be deprived of the right of inheritance. Yet she did not expect that it would backfire. Bruce actually slept with Joanna. And then things got out of her hands. Under the pressure of Raymond Haynes and Margaret Everett, Bruce ended up getting married to Joanna. Thinking of this, Ingrid said, "I did it for you, silly girl. Damn it, all because of your grandfather. That old shit has always favored that Joanna. Well, now that the old man's dead, let's see who can stand up for her this time." But Mom, Roxanne was still worried. Even though Bruce had been good to her for years, she could see the frigidity in his eyes. The man seldom smiled ever since he divorced Joanna. Over the years, he had totally become a workaholic. Sometimes it took 3 or 2 months for Roxanne to see him around once. "Don't worry, that idiot Joanna is just as stupid as that dead mother of hers. We are falling out with her right now. Not until she gives up her share of the inheritance first." 10 days later, it was Raymond's funeral. It was drizzling rain. All members of the Haynes family had arrived at the cemetery except for Joanna. On top of that, the finest people in Greenport also showed up to pay their respects. Not to mention the reporters that were gathering outside the cemetery. After all, Raymond Haynes was quite a big shot in Greenport. So, of course, his funeral was well focused. I heard Raymond willed the eldest daughter of the Haynes family to inherit the Haynes group. Oh, my God, that girl is really shrewd. She seduced her brother-in-law 6 years ago and forced her sister to leave. Then she became the one marrying into the Everett family instead of her sister, and now she's the director of the Haynes group. That's impressive. Ha, so what? She's just a scheming woman. She was kicked out by the Everett family, wasn't she? Such a woman is simply disgusting. Ingrid was overjoyed when hearing the whispers of the crowd. Trying hard to maintain the sad look on her face, she said, "May I have your attention, please? First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming to Raymond's funeral, and A reporter cut in, Mrs. Haynes, is it true that Joanna is going to take over the Haynes Group as the new leader? Chapter 3. Ingrid paused before replying, I'm not gonna be disturbed by other things on this extremely distressing day. But for a company as big as the Haynes Group, one man's word alone can't take effect. We need a board meeting to pick the right executive director. Mrs. Haynes, why isn't Joanna here on such an important day? That's the question you should ask her. While she was saying, outside the cemetery suddenly came the sounds of engines. A stretch limo was making its way into the cemetery, followed by a fleet of Mercedes. Look at that license plate. It seems to be Mr. Grimm's car. The reporters went all excited and rushed towards the Rolls-Royce. Yes, that car belonged to Jaden Grimm. There were two well-known wealthy young men in Greenport. One of them was Bruce Everett, and the other was Jaden Grimm. He was the second son of the casino magnate in Ventura City, and he also ran an entertainment company called Starlight Media. Several new top stars in the showbiz were all artists under his company's control. Unlike Bruce, who kept a low profile, Jaden had always been a man of publicity. The doors of the Rolls-Royce were opened slowly, and Jaden stepped out first. Wow, it's really Mr. Grimm. The press swarmed forward like flies smelling blood. After Jaden got out of the car, he turned to the other side and helped a woman who was dressed all in black out of the car like a real gentleman. Is this? Wow, it's Joanna Haynes. You gotta be kidding. What is Grimm doing with a woman like her? As they were all astonished, one by one, came out two adorable kids wearing tiny black suits. The boys should be at the age of 3 to 4. And it was like a bomb, igniting everyone's interest. Oh my God, I don't believe it. After being kicked out of the Everett family, Joanna hooked up with Mr. Grimm. And they've had 2 kids already. Mr. Grimm, are these children yours? What is your relationship with Joanna Haynes? When did you two get together? Mr. Grimm, is it true that Ms. Haynes is about to take over the Haynes Group as the new executive director? The reports crowded with the popping flashbulbs and the swimming mics. Hundreds of securities quickly formed a human wall. Jaden, who had never been a big fan of interviews, nodded slightly at the crowd of reporters. He was going to answer their questions today. Ms. Haynes and I are very good friends. Thank you for your concern. This one sentence was enough for the reporter's imagination. Joanna and the 2 boys entered the cemetery under the protection of Jaden and security. Today was the funeral of Joanna's grandfather, and she felt it necessary for her children to bid a proper farewell to him. 4 years ago, after she divorced Bruce, she gave birth to triplets, 2 boys and a girl. The girl was supposed to come with Joanna, but the poor kid was born with a disease, and it was not appropriate for her to attend such an occasion. So, Joanna only brought her 2 sons. She and Jaden stopped at Raymond's grave and made 3 deep bows. Kids, bow to your great-grandfather. The babies obeyed their mummy and bowed deeply, just as Joanna and Jaden had done. A warm family of 4. Is that man Mr. Grimm? Jaden Grimm. Oh, dear. He's not secretly married to that lousy woman, is he? This is shocking. I can't believe that Mr. Grimm would accept such a woman. This scene was irritating Ingrid and Roxanne, not to mention the other ladies present. Jaden Grimm was nearly every woman's fantasy. He was born into a wealthy family, and he had grown into a handsome young man with a promising future. Jaden Grimm was, ads by Pub Future, no less influential than Bruce. Yet now it was Joanna, the woman kicked out of the Everett family, who hooked up with Jaden. How could she get so lucky? What was so charming about her to be with such a fine man? Joanne, whose children are they? Asked Sean as he looked at the 2 boys in shock. They are my children, Dad, answered Joanna as she turned to the boys. Devian, Irwin, this is your grandpa. Nice to meet you, Grandpa. 2 boys called out together. What they? All the others were thunderstruck by this shocking news. Ingrid and Roxanne were also freezing, their hearts pounding in horror. These 2 boys looked so much like Bruce. Especially their eyes. They were basically small versions of the man. Sean still looked incredulous. And, who's their father? He asked with a serious face. Deep down, he was so worried that Bruce was the father. After all, Bruce was now Roxanne's fiancé. Yes, Joanna was also Sean's daughter, but unlike Roxanne, Joanna grew up abroad with her mother. It wasn't until Joanna was 12 years old after her mother died that she was brought back to the Haynes family. Therefore, there was no deep bonding between Joanna and Sean. Joanne, I am not trying to blame you. But you should at least tell your own family about the big issue, such as giving birth to two kids. Sean did not look pleased when finding he was a grandfather now. Instead, he looked disgusted. Sean believed that if Bruce was the father, then Joanna must have meddled in Roxanne's love life. Even if Bruce was not the father, Joanna was very. Chapter 4. Likely to use the boys to seize more shares of the family inheritance. All in all, this was no good for Sean. Joanna kept her head down and didn't say anything. She just wanted to take the kids to see her grandfather off for the last time. As for the other things, she didn't want to explain too much. By this time, Jaden had taken a step forward and reached out. Hi, Mr. Haynes. I'm Jaden. I'm Joanne's good friend. When Sean heard this, he gave Jaden a glance subconsciously, and the next second, his nerves were settled. Sean never met Jaden Grimm in person, but the young man's reputation was well known, even for him. Hence, if Jaden was the father, he could finally be relieved. Hell, he could even celebrate this. Oh, hello. So, you and Joanne. The kids. Jaden paused for a few seconds, then he replied politely, Joanne and I are very close friends. So I wanted to be here with her. And the kids on this grieving day. One could argue that his answer was a little too official, because he neither admitted that he was the father nor denied it. As a matter of fact, highborn lads like Jaden all did things like marrying secretly or having a love child. That happened a lot. However, Bruce, who was standing aside, felt so upset, as if the vessels in his heart were suddenly blocked. Bruce tore his tie loose subconsciously as his handsome face darkened. He and Joanna had merely broken up for 4 years, but it appeared to Bruce that Joanna's kids must be at least 3 years old. In other words, right after Joanna had divorced him, she threw herself into another man's arms. Or maybe she had long cheated on Bruce while they were still married. No wonder she could walk away without looking back. No wonder she could leave the $100 million alimony behind. It turned out that she had found herself a new sugar daddy. Bruce should have known that. Wasn't she always a scheming woman? If she could somehow sleep with him 6 years ago, then, of course, she would have been able to seduce Jaden again. How shameless, thought Bruce. He was cursing fiercely in his mind. That just cost him the last of his patience. Without saying anything to anyone else, he strode away, ready to leave. Bruce, Bruce, Roxanne called out when she saw Bruce leaving. Ingrid elbowed her daughter on the shoulder, gesturing for Roxanne to go after Bruce. Thus, Roxanne hurried to leave the cemetery and ran after Bruce. The group of reporters saw Bruce getting out, and they immediately swarmed over. Mr. Everett, what do you think about the relationship between your ex-wife and Mr. Grimm? You lived with your ex-wife for 2 years, but she failed to get pregnant. Do you think the boys your ex-wife brought over today could be yours? When are you and M's Roxanne getting married? Mr. Everett. Bruce had been disturbed without the harassment of the reporters. So he was even more furious right now. His bodyguards quickly stopped the reporters from getting any nearer. No interviews. Then the bodyguards escorted Bruce into a car. Bruce. Roxanne followed out, but before she could get in, Bruce's car pulled out of the parking lot. Reporters turned to Roxanne at once. Ms. Haynes, when are you and Mr. Everett getting married? What do you think of your sister taking over the Haynes group? Roxanne had never been exposed to reporters like this. She froze and stammered, not knowing what to do or say at all. Ingrid, worried about her daughter, dashed over in time. Seeing that Roxanne was surrounded by the press, she stepped forward. Hastily, sorry, we do not have any interviews today. Please say something, Mrs. Haynes. The reporters begged for any answer. With a polite smile on her face, Ingrid replied confidently. Thanks for your concerns, fellows. Mr. Everett and my daughter's wedding will be held on time. As for when and where, that's not for me to expose. And I beg you to leave some space for the young ones. Thank you. What about Raymond's will then? Is it true that Joanna is going to take over the Haynes Group? Well, of course, that's not true. That's nothing but a rumor. The Haynes Group is too large to be left in an inexperienced girl's hands. Ingrid knew Joanna very well. Ever since the girl was a kid, she had been a stupid and cowardly pushover. Hence, Ingrid was sure that she was able to manipulate Joanna, and the latter would give up the control of the Haynes Group. Meanwhile, Joanna and Jaden walked out of the cemetery as well. Joanna, are you about to take over the Haynes Group? Did Raymond make a will to bequeath the position of head of the family to you? Yes, Joanna answered calmly and crisply. This one single word was like a slap on Ingrid's face. So, Haynes, is it okay to reveal the contents of the will? 4. About the will, I've delegated full power to my lawyer to handle it. There will be a press conference to announce the contents of the will. Thank you for your concern. Ingrid's mouth twitched in embarrassment as she glared at Joanna with her teeth gritted. This little bitch, she thought. It's only been a couple of years, but she's not that stupid anymore. Joanne, don't say anything in front of the reporters. Did you consult your father about the will? Did you consult the board of directors? The old man's just been buried, and you are trying to take over your father's position as chairman. Ingrid said, sarcastically, glaring at Joanna. Joanna turned around and looked Ingrid straight in the eye. I'm just following Grandpa's wishes. If you have any questions or ads by pub future complaints, please contact my lawyer. With that, Joanna ignored Ingrid and followed Jaden to his car. Joanna. Ingrid's face turned livid. She couldn't believe that a few years of time could change Joanna so thoroughly. Ingrid was convinced that it must be Jaden. Behind her back. Otherwise, with Joanna's intelligence, she wouldn't dare to treat Ingrid like that. 3 days later, a board meeting was being held in the Haynes Tower. Sean, Ingrid, Derek, Ryan, and the 2 other directors, Mr. Roger and Mr. Paul, all attended the board meeting as agreed. In addition to them, Bruce was also seen at the board meeting, which did not happen a lot. Bruce owned 15% of the Haynes Group, but he had never been involved in the management of the business. As a matter of fact, he bought his shares purely out of goodwill. Really strange. Mr. Everett is here as well. Mr. Roger and Mr. Paul were eager to fawn on Bruce as if he was the man who actually controlled the Haynes Group. Bruce sat on the chair with a sullen face, noble and aloof, showing little interest in the 2 men. However, even though he was just sitting there silently, the others were still afraid of him. Soon, Joanna arrived. With black-rimmed glasses, she was wearing a black suit with a white striped shirt underneath. Her hair was also tied up. There was light makeup on her delicate face. Together with the maroon lips, she was all businesslike and gorgeous. A complete career lady. All non-essential personnel, please leave. This is a board meeting, not a family discussion. Joanna glanced at Ingrid and her 2 stepbrothers as she asked them to leave indifferently. Ingrid's mouth trembled with anger. Whoa, aggressive, aren't you? I was almost convinced that you've already been the chairman since you are acting like one. Everyone here, Joanne, is more qualified than you. We are all more capable at least than you of taking over the position of chairman. The Haynes Group is too much of a big deal to be left in your hands. You think you, an immature girl, are really able to handle it. Derek, being a bad-tempered lad, slammed the table furiously and stood up. Mom's right. Who are you to take the chairman's seat from Dad? What? Chapter 5. Have you done for the Haynes Group? You were just making a fuss here. Grandpa was old, and his brain wasn't functional anymore. So that doesn't count. Get out of here, or I'll kick you out myself. Joanna's lawyer, Mr. Bryson, nudged his glasses and said sternly, Mr. Haynes, Mrs. Haynes, please mind your manners. Otherwise, my client can sue you for intimidation and libel. Who are you to bluff me? Can she even afford a lawyer? Joanna merely glanced at Derek coldly and called out to her assistant at the door. In a moment, 8 burly security men came in. Joanna said, all non-essential personnel, please step out for the time being. I'm staying. Deal with it. Politely yet also forcefully, the security guards reached out, gesturing for Ingrid and the others to leave. This is my father's company. Come and get me if you dare. But I'm telling you I'm not leaving. What are you gonna do about it? Of course, the security staff didn't really dare to use force. Derek was even more arrogant when he noticed that. Joanna, who do you think you are, huh? Don't push me any further. Otherwise, I don't mind slapping you even though you are a woman. With that, Derek actually pounced on Joanna and was going to smack her in the face. He had always been the bully in the family and the acknowledged heir. Now that his property had been taken away, how could he not be furious? As Derek's palm was approaching Joanna's cheek, Bruce lost his temper and jumped to his feet unconsciously. But before he could take any action, Joanna ducked, and Derek's slap missed her. Then, Joanna caught the back of Derek's palm and gave him a sudden push, causing Derek to smash into the desk. The next second, Derek's lip was cut, and it was bleeding at once. What are you doing? Oh, Rick, are you all right? Ingrid was almost wailing when she saw her son bleeding. Get them out of here. Yes, Ems. Haynes, the head of security, was no longer polite. Together with him, the others seized Derek and others and sent them out. Joanna took a glance at the blood on her hands and frowned. She said, "Excuse me, I need to use the restroom." With that, Joanna walked straight out of the conference room and into the restroom. She got in and turned on the tap. When she was about to wash the bloodstains on her hands, the bathroom door was suddenly pushed open. It was Bruce who walked in. "This is the ladies' room. You are in the wrong place," Joanna said coldly, continuing to wash the blood off her hands. Bruce coughed and casually turned on the tap to wash his hands. "I've really underestimated you. I thought you were infatuated, and I didn't expect you to find another customer so quickly." Anger flashed across Joanna's eyes, but she didn't want to continue this conversation anymore. She shook the water off her hand and walked straight to the door. However, Bruce stopped her at once. He grabbed her by the arm all at once and threw her back violently to pin her against the wall. "Who is your kid's father? When did you hook up with Jaden Grimm?" Though they had been divorced for 4 years, Bruce still thought that Joanna belonged to him. He looked quite arrogant when saying those words. Joanna tried to free herself but failed. At last, she glared at Bruce and spoke up in a voice of cold fury, "Mr. Everett, please show me some respect. If you want to talk about business, please go to the office. If you want to take it personally, however, I have nothing to say to you." Bruce's lips curled into a sullen sneer as he heard her words. He leaned closer and closer to her. Joanna frowned, but deep down, her heart started racing nervously. Back then, Bruce had absolute dominance and control over her. Over those years, she had been deeply traumatized. Though it had been 4 years, the nerves in her body still retained their fear of him. Ads by Pub Future. "Let go of me, Bruce. This is the place where I work. Don't you dare. What are you so afraid of? You fear that they might call you a slut for hitting on your ex-husband in the restroom. Are you insane? I'm warning you. Show some respect. A slut like you deserves no respect at all. Bruce Everett, you are going too far." With that, Joanna started struggling violently. Yet it did not work. Bruce was pinning her arms to the wall, making it impossible for her to struggle. He was so tall and oppressive that Joanna could barely breathe. "Don't you love it when I do such things to you? Ha! I didn't expect that after 4 years, you would still like pretending to be an innocent girl." As he said, Bruce took off her black-rimmed glasses and looked into her eyes with a wicked smile. "It's exactly that look on your face. Oh, I bet Jaden Grimm loves it, doesn't he?" Joanna was completely flustered. She shouted, "You psychopath. What are you doing? Stop this." Bruce grinned in satisfaction at her panicked reaction. When they were still married, he liked to punish her with his most overbearing and aggressive method whenever they were in bed. Now that Joanna had found her way to another man's bed, Bruce was gonna show her the horror of irritating him. "Oh, are you afraid of being seen? You are afraid that Jaden Grimm might dump you for this? Just cut it off, Joanna Haynes. Put away your dirty little schemes." Joanna was furious. "Tell me then, Mr. Everett, what my schemes could possibly be. Didn't we agree while getting divorced? You would leave Greeport forever and never come back. Why did you break the deal? To make me sick on purpose?" Bruce raised his eyebrows, the look on his face nearly murderous. What the man cared the most was that Joanna actually came back with her sons with another man. Even though they were divorced, Bruce still felt cheated on and even betrayed. He would stop loving or even abandon anyone or anything at any time. But he just didn't like the idea of his toy being taken over by someone else. I came back for my grandfather's inheritance. What's it to you? I said. Have some respect and let go of me. And I've told you that you don't deserve any respect, haven't I? Bruce sneered, his big hands running wild over her body. Bruce, we're divorced. What's more, I don't owe you anything. So don't insult me like this. Get your hands off of me right now, or I'll sue you for molestation. You, sue me. Don't make me laugh. Anyone in Greenport knows that it was you who drugged me and begged to have sex with me. It's only been 4 years, and you forget. For the last time, I didn't drug anyone, especially you. I am the victim here. Not you. Just keep telling yourself that, will you? Chapter 6. Joanna took a deep breath and calmed herself down. Fine, whatever you say. I figured it out just now that there are many men out there who are so much better than you. Divorcing you is the best thing that ever happened to me. And that succeeded in pissing Bruce off completely. He jerked his head down and shut her mouth with his furious kiss. That kiss of his had always been full of aggression. Joanna even feared that she would be devoured in whole. Get your hands. The next second, Bruce had raised his head, his eyes full of mockery. He sneered, do you actually think that I'll touch you? Again. Don't flatter yourself. I won't have sex with a whore who has been sleeping with the others. It disgusts me. With that, Bruce let go of Joanna resentfully and walked out. Joanna was gasping to catch her breath, finding her face in a mess and her lipstick falling off. Stop, Bruce Everett. What? Are you gonna throw yourself in my... Bruce turned around in disdain, only to see a furious Joanna pouncing on him with her high heels in her hands like a lion cub. Before Bruce could know what had happened, he had been hit more than a dozen times. Why are you always so mean to me? What do I owe you? Why are you always so arrogant and full of shit? Bruce was so stunned that he forgot to fight back at all. He just stood up straight and took the hit. All the years he had known Joanna, she had always been as timid as a lamb. She did not even dare to speak too loudly, let alone hit anyone with her shoes. But now, she was striking him with the high heels, which was simply unreal and surprising for Bruce. Stop that, woman. Don't force me to fight back. Joanna ignored his threat and kicked it between his legs with all her might. She was not the same weak, cowardly Joanna she used to be. If anyone messed with her, she fought back. Oh, Bruce was caught off guard and was kicked in the crotch. The pain coming from the most vulnerable part of him made his eyebrows twitch. How dare you kick me? I'll kick you again if you continue to offend me. We'd better stay out of each other's way. Don't think I'm afraid of you. Silently, Bruce fixed his eyes on Joanna in disbelief. She had really changed a lot. This woman changed from a lamb to a much wilder little beast. Oh, you ask for it, woman. Bruce snapped, clutching Joanna's arm and thrusting her against the sink. He had never been beaten by anyone before. Most importantly, this woman kicked him in his, the part that he cherished the most. If he had not been tall enough, he would probably be a eunuch right now. This woman must be insane. Ads by Pub Future. Bruce pressed her down on the sink. Yet Joanna didn't want to be outdone. By using her hands and her feet, she never stopped struggling. This was when the bodyguard at the door heard the noise inside and stormed in. Mr. Everett, I'm sorry, said the bodyguard. Then he closed the door hastily with a loud bang. It was not his fault to misread the situation. After all, Bruce and Joanna were indeed in weird positions. The bodyguard stood at the door again and stroked his chest with lingering fear. Phew, that was close. I almost interrupted. Mr. Everett, I didn't expect that after 4 years, Haynes is still so good with men. That's something about that woman. She still managed to hook up with her ex-husband even though she's now with Mr. Grimm. Oh, man, poor Mr. Everett. He has fallen in the same trap of that woman twice now. Joanna, pale and disheveled, pushed Bruce away angrily. Bruce Everett, you are insulting me as well as yourself. If you disrespect me again, don't blame me for being rude. What is between us is purely business. I don't want anything to do with you in private. Bruce snorted with scornful laughter. You think I want to have anything to do with you? That's ridiculous. He ran the wealthiest family in Greenport. He was a star. Countless people tried desperately to flatter him. And this was the first time in Bruce's life that he had ever heard anyone say no to having a relationship with him. It seemed that he had made the right decision to come here today. Just you wait, you scheming woman. I'll make your life miserable. With an evil smile, Bruce adjusted his tie and strode out of the bathroom with his long legs. Back to the conference room. Joanna, who had fixed her makeup, pushed the door open and drew everyone's attention at once. They were all looking at her with profound contempt. Bruce slouched back in his chair. The way his thumb played with the corners of his lips made the others believe at once that he just had sex in the restroom and was now savoring the moment. Chapter 7. Joanna had history, and together with the fact that she happened to be in the restroom, too, the others were convinced that these two had had it a go. After all, that was exactly what Joanna did to Bruce 6 years ago, and by doing so, she forced his sister to leave and marry into the Everett family herself. Of course, Joanna noticed the meaningful looks on their faces. Her face fell, and her mood was at its worst. Let's begin, she said crisply. Mr. Roger and Mr. Paul put on serious faces at once and sat up a little straighter. Sean, with a livid face, squinted at Joanna for a second and then threw a glance at Bruce. He was so mad. To be honest, he never liked his eldest daughter. Sean made up his mind that if Joanna dared to mess with the relationship between Roxy and Bruce again, he would cut off from Joanna for sure. Joanne, most here are elder and more experienced than you. So don't be so serious. It's rude. Meanwhile, Dad has talked to Mr. Roger and Mr. Paul. We all agreed that you could come to work here, but you need to start at the bottom. Once you get familiar with the operation and management, we can consider. Joanna's pretty face sank, and she cut Sean off. Dad, I'm calling a board meeting today because I have an announcement to make. As of next month, I will inherit 51% of the Haynes Group in accordance with my grandfather's will, taking over as the executive director. At the same time, there will be some changes in personnel management. So I want you all to get ready for it. Sean's face darkened when he heard this. It seemed that his eldest daughter was not only going to destroy her sister's romantic relationship, but she was also gonna claim the property that belonged to her two brothers. Joanne, you are too young and simple. Running a company is not as easy as you think it is. Mr. Roger and Mr. Paul also sneered. Joanne, the Haynes Group is your grandfather's life's work, and we all have put much work into it over the years. It's not child's play, and it's not that we look down on you. It's just a simple truth that a little girl would know. Experience cannot bear such a heavy burden. Joanna gave them a confident smile after hearing so. Then from the briefcase, she drew out of a few stacks of documents and had her assistant distribute them to the others. Here's my experience from overseas. If you'd like to see it. Director of Planning and Vice President of Chi Technologies. When seeing this, Mr. Roger and Mr. Paul looked up at Joanna in disbelief. Chi Technologies was one of the top 50 global companies in the world. It mainly focused on the research and development of new technology projects, such as robots. Meanwhile, Chi Technologies also covered the fields such as automobiles, electrical appliances, and even jewelry. And it turned out that Joanna was the director of planning as well as the vice president of CL. How was that possible? I was vice president of Chi Technologies, in charge of domestic operations. Here are the financial statements for the last 3 years. I think you've heard that CI's profits in this region have increased in the last few years. The others were even more shocked when hearing this. CL was too well known in the whole world to ignore any information about it. And to be the vice president of Chi Technologies at such a young age, luck was required, but it was not gonna happen without abilities. Wait a minute, you can't be the famous Ms. Haynes of Chi Technologies, can you? Joanna smiled confidently and replied, yes, that's me. Now, everyone was too astonished to say anything. Even Bruce was surprised. Ms. Haynes of Chi Technologies was a rising star in the business world in the last 2 years. It was said that Ms. Haynes and her team made Chi Technologies' domestic sales grow 55% in just 2 years. Who wouldn't like a real genius like that? Joanna was a dual citizen. So no one ever expected that Ms. Haynes of Chi Technologies was actually Joanna who was kicked out of the Everett family. I believe in myself to run the Haynes Group well. By the way, my team will join the Haynes Group with me. Also, I've taken over CI's sole agency in Greenport. In the next few years, the Haynes family won't have to worry about the supply of materials. Moreover, we'll be working with CL on new projects together. Mr. Roger and Mr. Paul's faces lit up with bright smiles at once. Oh, my, what a surprise. Many have failed to get a sole agency agreement with Chi, but Ms. Haynes got it for us. I just never dreamed that we could work with CL. Well, since Mr. Ads by Pub Future, Raymond Haynes has chosen a rightful successor. We have no problem with that. The Haynes Group had been losing money for years with Sean as the chairman. The board of directors had a lot of complaints against him already. Unlike Sean, as soon as Joanna returned, she had turned the tables for the Haynes Group. Now that with CL on its side, the Haynes Group wouldn't have to worry about anything for at least the next few years. So, of course, they wanted Sean to be removed as chairman. Sean's face went livid. He said, "Joanne, you can be the chairman of the board. I don't have a problem with that. However, I still suggest that you start at the bottom. It's not a bad thing to have more experience. Or, you don't want to start at the bottom. It's fine to start as a department head or a manager. But never the chairman," thought Sean to himself. If Joanna became the chairman, what about him? What about his two sons? Sean valued his sons more in the first place. Not to mention the fact that Joanna had grown up without him around. There was no bonding between the father and daughter at all. Therefore, he would never want most of the assets to fall into Joanna's hands. "Dad, you don't have to say anymore. I'm just following Grandpa's wishes. If I can't increase the Haynes Group's profits by more than 20% in 3 years while I'm in the office, I'll resign and stay out of business forever. Mr. Haynes, at least give your daughter a chance to give it a try. I support her anyway. I don't have a problem with that either. Joanne, you." Sean staggered as he kept throwing glances at Bruce, begging Bruce silently to say something for him. However, Bruce just sat there still. He said nothing nor took any side. The money he put on the Haynes Group was just too little for him to pay any attention to. Thus, he didn't want to waste his time and energy on this matter. Yet he didn't mind Joanna becoming the chairman. After all, this was nothing but a game to him. It would be more interesting if Joanna was the chairman. By then, he would give her some really good lessons. "Mr. Everett, what do you think?" Bruce smiled and shrugged. Well, I'm okay with that. You see, even Mr. Everett agreed, let alone us. "Mr. Haynes, you should vacate the office for Ms. Haynes as soon as possible. And allow her to take over your work at hand." Sean was completely dumbfounded when he heard that. How could Bruce agree to let Joanna be the chairman? Sean had expected the young man to side with him. But Bruce only turned out to be his last straw. His position as chairman of the board was taken away. Chapter 8. Good for you, Joanne, good for you. It seems that of all these years, I've raised you for nothing. You want to replace your own father. Is there any humanity left in you? Ever since you were a kid, you've been the most rebellious one. 6 years ago, you brought shame on the whole family by becoming the joke that everyone in Greenport knew. And now you come back to steal everything from us. You're such a disgrace. Sean started moral blackmailing Joanna, and he went out of control, pointing the finger at Joanna and swearing. Whatever the cost, he needed to keep the Haynes Group for his two sons. At the very least, if he had to hand over the Haynes Group to his daughters, he'd hand it over to Roxanne instead of Joanna. Joanna knew very well what her father was planning. It hurt her, but on the surface, she kept a poker face. She said, "Dad, I'm just getting my grandfather's inheritance. If you have any complaints, you can talk to my lawyer." Also, I don't want you to be involved in the management of the Haynes Group anymore. Money based on the annual profit will be transferred into your private account every year. Joanna had never spent a penny of her father's money ever since she was a kid nor felt any fatherly love from him. At the age of 12, she returned to Greenport after her mother died. During that time, she stayed at boarding school and rarely returned to the Haynes, even during the holidays. Back then, all her expenses were paid by the money her mother left her and her own scholarships. Joanne, did I hear it right? You were going to kick me, your own father, out. Joanna looked at Sean coolly. I'm not kicking you out. It's that you are not fit to be in the Haynes Group anymore. Nowadays, the Haynes Group was crammed with Ingrid's all kinds of relatives. These people all came here to slack off. The Haynes Group would go down sooner or later if Joanna didn't get rid of them. Good, very good. What a dutiful daughter. What a misfortune for my family. I have raised you for nothing. How could I have given birth to such an ungrateful person like you? Sean pounded the desk angrily, hoping that it was Joanna's head that he was banging. Dad, for so many years, you have never really raised me. I have never spent a penny of your money. So please, don't say that you raised me or anything like that ever again. Sean was so mad that he was speechless for a moment. It was true that he never loved or cared about Joanna. At first, Joanna was just an independent kid who required no concern from Sean at all. Hence, over time, he completely ignored his daughter. Also, I just want to fulfill my grandfather's dying wish to get the Haynes Group into the world's top 500 businesses. I have no intention of kicking anyone out. Bruce was amused by her words and let out laughter. He sneered at her, quite ambitious, Ms. Haynes. Still, confidence is one thing, but arrogance is another. Are you sure you can turn the Haynes Group into a Fortune 500 company? What if you can't? Bruce propped his arms on the desk, his face full of scorn. Ads by Pub Future. His face was so handsome that no one could resist his charm. However, when matched with the look on his face right now, it was simply so irritating. Joanna heaved a sigh, suppressing her anger. Together, we will succeed in anything. I believe that the Haynes Group can be flourishing in a short time. Bruce said, since Ms. Haynes is so confident, let's sign a bet on agreement. Within 3 years, if you can turn the Haynes Group into a Fortune 500 company, then my shares will be distributed as benefits to everyone. Yet, if you can't, then by agreement, you will quit the Haynes Group unconditionally. Indignant with the man, Joanna gritted her teeth. Bruce's offer was quite vicious. The Haynes Group had been languishing over the years. Getting into the world's top 500 was Joanna's final goal, but that would easily cost her a decade or more. But she wanted to achieve her goal within 3 years. That was impossible. Having heard Bruce's proposal, Sean was thrilled, his eyes full of admiration. Yeah, Mr. Everett is right. Running such a big company is not as easy as you think. If you are willing to sign the agreement, I'll allow you to replace me. But first things first, if you fail in 3 years, you are going to hand over all your shares in the Haynes Group. Bruce's eyes were slightly raised, and he looked at Joanna with a faint smile. So, do you have the guts to sign it? 3 years are not enough to. If you don't have the confidence, just say it. Don't get yourself so many excuses. Joanna, irritated by his challenge, replied while resisting the urge to strike Bruce in the face, Bruce, why should I sign it? You own 15% of the Haynes Group, and I own 51%. You want to bet your 15% against my 51%. Don't you think it's unfair? Unfair. Didn't you say that you'll increase the profits by more than 20% in 3 years, or you will quit? So why not make it more fun? Here's the deal, if you can do it on time, I'll put another $200 million on the Haynes Group in addition to my shares. Mr. Roger and Mr. Paul were ecstatic when hearing it. Such good terms were really beneficial for them. I'll think about it, Joanna said. Bruce smiled and stood up slowly. All right, you have 10 minutes to think about it. My time is valuable, so I don't have days to be wasted on you. Bruce's gloating grin got Joanna's fists clenched. Her face was pale with anger, and the veins in her temples were bulging. However, The angrier she got, the happier Bruce was. From the day Joanna climbed onto his bed, Bruce had made up his mind to step on her for the rest of her life. "I'm going out for a smoke. Take your time," Bruce said, swaggering out of the conference room. He opened the door. Chapter 9. The next second, Bruce saw a charming man in a well-tailored suit standing outside. It was Jaden. "Sorry, did I interrupt your meeting?" Jaden smiled and held out his right hand politely. The smile on Bruce's face vanished at once as he glared at Jaden with hostility. Seeing that he had no intention of shaking hands, Jaden awkwardly withdrew his hand. "I'm here to pick up Joanne. The kids miss her too much. So I had no choice but to bring them here as well." Bruce's face fell. Then without a word, he strode arrogantly past Jaden. "What are you doing here?" asked Joanna. When she saw Jaden at the door, she was surprised. So Joanna hurried out of the conference room. "I hope I am not disturbing you. Devian and Irwin missed you. So I took them here." "Mommy." Devian and Irwin ran over. "Oh, you shouldn't have been here. Mommy, we missed you. What's taking you so long?" Irwin ran over and grabbed Joanna by the leg all at once. "Mommy is still in a meeting. You need to go home. After the meeting, I will go back to be with you, is that alright?" Devian stuck his hands in his pockets, and his face was extremely serious. "Mommy, Irwin, and I are worried that you might be bullied. We are going to stay here and protect you." When Joanna heard this, she couldn't help smiling and said, "My dear, thank you, boys. But Mommy really needs to finish the meeting first," she said. "You'll distract Mommy by staying here." "Well, sure. You go to the meeting first, Mommy, and we will wait for you here. I will take care of Irwin and not make any trouble." Although Devian was only 3 years old, he was unusually intelligent. "Yeah, we're not going anywhere, Mommy," agreed Irwin. He was a sharp-witted kid, very good at observing, and his character was completely different from his elder brother. When the two kids were on their phones, they read a lot of posts online attacking their mom. That worried them. Hence, the kids specially came here to protect their mommy. They wanted to know who the villains were, picking on their sweet mother. "No one bullies mommy. Mommy is Supergirl," Joanna said with a smile. She always tried to comfort her children, protecting them from any trauma. Being a mother changed Joanna the most. For the sake of her 3 children, she must be strong. Jaden smiled gently and patted Joanna on the shoulder. "Don't worry, Joanne. I will stay here with Devian and Irwin." "Oh, all right. Thank you so much. You don't have to thank me at any time. Just go about your business. And if you need any help, just let me know." "Sure." With Jaden here, Joanna felt her back being guarded. Ads by Pub Future. While hiding in the corner of the corridor to eavesdrop, Bruce felt so uncomfortable, as if Joanna had cheated on him. It was so humiliating. Joanna slept with him for 2 years without getting pregnant at all. Yet it seemed that right after he divorced her, she had 2 bastards. What would the others think of him then? There might be a lot who were convinced by this that he, Bruce Everett, had a physical deformity or something. "Time's up," said Bruce sourly as he was striding over. "Are we having the meeting or not? This is a company, not a playground. If you'd rather be a housewife, go home with these boys." Then, with his long legs, he strode madly across Jaden and Joanna right between them. Still, that was not enough to ease his anger inside. "Joanna Haynes, I will make you regret it. How dare you cheat on me? And the 2 bastards as well. I'll teach them a lesson." Bruce thought furiously. It was true that they had been divorced. But the strong impulse of possessing Joanna again was driving him mad. He believed that Joanna was his private property. Joanna was bumped by Bruce, and because of her high heels, Joanna almost fell. Jaden reached out in a hurry and held her in his arms. That irritated Bruce even more. How dare they play a sweet, lovely couple in front of him? Very well then, he was gonna fuck them all. "Are you okay, Joanne? Mommy, are you okay?" Both Devian and Irwin ran to her at once. Irwin, as a thoughtful, sweet boy, actually squatted down and massaged Joanna's ankles with his chubby little hands. Joanna smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'm fine. How about your ankle?" Jaden grabbed Joanna by Joanna's waist and bent over to check on her ankle with concern. It's okay. Joanna stood up and gave Bruce a disgusted look. What are you looking at? Come on in for the meeting. My time is precious, and I don't want it to be wasted any longer. That, however, infuriated Divian at once. Stop right there, the little boy shouted rather adorably. Chapter 10. Bruce raised his eyebrows in surprise and looked down at the little one across from him. Divian cocked his head and pointed angrily at Bruce's face. Yes, you gotta apologize to my mommy. Bruce sneered with disdain. No one in Greyport would dare even to speak to him like that. However, it was still a kid after all. So Bruce merely snorted impatiently. You are a bad guy, and I won't let go of bad guys who bully my mommy. Divian's face turned red with fury as he seized Bruce's trousers. Get your hands off of me, you little shit. I am no shit. You are shit. You are a piece of big shit. Bruce's face darkened. Joanna, get some control over your son. I won't blame kids for being rude, but if their parents don't know any better, I won't. Hold back. Hastily, Joanna caught Divian in her arms and said, Divian, listen to mommy. Mommy's fine. Go back with Irwin. Let's go, Divian. We can't bother mommy right now. Let's go back to the hotel first, whispered Irwin after pulling his brother over. Finally, Divian calmed down a little, and he shouted at Bruce, this is not the end, you're bad, bad man. Then he turned to Joanna. Bye, mommy, we are going back. Yeah, be careful, Jaden said, I'll drive them back first. Call me if you need anything. Joanna nodded. I will. Thank you, Jaden. Divian, Irwin, let's go. Say goodbye to mummy. Bye, mommy. Bye, boys. Jaden smiled. Hands in hands, the three of them headed for the elevator. Let's get back to the meeting. Bruce got back into the conference room, and Joanna followed him in. Now, have you thought it over? Are you ready to sign this agreement?